Arvind sir, Arvind sir, I
Yes,
think,
sir.
sir, I think we should now start, na?
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Good evening to one and all. Welcome to the Confederation of Jharkhand Sahodayas. A cluster of 7 Sahodayas are in this Confederation of Jharkhand Sahodayas. Good evening to our mentor, our guide, Sir T.K. Sinha. Good evening to our another mentor and guide, Sir Zubin Bose. Good evening to all the chairpersons of the Sahodayas of GODDA, PAKUR, SAHEBGANJ, and DHANBAD. Respected teachers, principals of all the eminent and prominent schools of these districts. Today we are extremely lucky to have a very, very renowned person as our resource person, Dr. SUBHOSREE SARKAR, Principal of BALDWIN Farm Area High School, JAMSHEDPUR. Dr. Sarkar is also the chairperson of JAMSHEDPUR Sahodaya School Complex. For a novice like me to introduce Dr. Sarkar is a big, big job, but it's a big honor also. The more I will talk about Dr. Sarkar, the less it will be. I think all of you have once met her online in the first session of our training programs. And you are again lucky, along with me, to meet her once again. Dr. Sarkar, apart from being a very high quality academician, she is the master trainer of CBSC. She is a subject expert of CBSC. She is a full-fledged, star-rated resource person of CBSC. And I think even Dr. Sarkar doesn't know how many hours of training she has given to the teachers and principals across the country, and especially in Jharkhand and Jamshedpur. I myself consider myself very lucky to be associated with her. I remember when I was appointed as a resource person for CBSE in my second training program, she was my co-resource person and at Jamshedpur, and I learned a lot from her. Ladies and gentlemen, you will also be glad to know that Dr. Sarkar is also an alumni of the internationally famous Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata. Some of the best brains of the world, not only of our country, of the world, comes out from that institute. And Dr. Sarkar is from there. So I told you, the more I will tell, it will be less for her. She is a constant supporter of trainings. She herself prepares training programs for CBSE, and you all will be also glad to know that the science training program that CBSE conducts or previously conducted, a certain percentage of that science training program is actually her creation also. This is the information that I have from COE Patna. 3 years ago, I got this information, and we are extremely grateful that she has made those training programs. So all of you are requested to listen to Dr. Sarkar very, very attentively. Her topic, values and emotional well-being in teaching, is also a very important part of our teaching learning process. See, we teachers simply just cannot go into the classroom and just finish off our day's work or the syllabus and come back. Many things are associated with our teaching learning process. Our values, our emotions, our passions, our compassions, one by one. So Dr. Sarkar will talk about all these things today, and I'm 100% sure you all will definitely benefit from our teachings. So welcome to the platform, Madam Dr. SUBHOSREE Sarkar. The stage is all yours, and we are eagerly waiting to listen from you. Thank you everyone. Please enjoy the program. Dr. Sarkar, it's you now.
Thank you, sir. And I must say, That was quite an introduction, which there were different aspects of my life which even I was not aware of. So after that great introduction, I think the pressure is on me for living up to your standards and giving a good training session to all. So, a very good evening to the officials from Dhanbad cluster of Sahodaya, to the Confederation of Sahodayas Jharkhand, to Mr. T.K. Sinha, to Mr. Zubin Bose, to Mr. Surajit Sensor, and of course, Mr. Arvind, who had helped me in my last online training session also. So we begin this training, and I must admit that I am very much comfortable with actually the WebEx. I'm not so much comfortable with Google Meet, so I might need some technical help here and there. And I hope that I can complete this training as per the expectations, because Surajit sir has put a very high bar for all of us, and you know the way he is. So let me start the presentation, and here I present the screen. And also, dear participants, I know there might be some principals, there will be teachers in this training program, and I would request all of you to keep your chat box ready, because there will be some easy interactive questions and answers, because without that it becomes a bit monotonous, and we have to avoid this monotony to keep this program the alert hyper one. So here I present the screen. Is my screen visible? How do I share? Because I'm clicking on screen sharing, but my screen is not coming up.
Miss, first, what you do, you open your presentation first,
That's open.
and you don't minimize it. You keep it open,
Uh,
and after that, see just beside the hand marks, one symbol is there where the up mark arrow is there.
yes, yes.
Click there, ma'am,
Clicked.
and after that you select the means a window.
A window. Okay.
Yes,
ठीक है.
and from there you just see your presentation is
हाँ.
there, and now from there you
Okay. Can I play some audio also?
yes, miss, you can.
Okay. Let me try. But I think it is only the PPT which can be played, not the audio and the video. Let me see. Yeah, all of you can see the screen now?
No, ma'am, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Ma'am, you do one thing. No, first you make the screen. Put the screen. Don't
Huh.
minimize it.
No, it is open.
That is open. Okay. Once again, you click that arrowhead.
Okay.
Then you will find that you will get these writings. No, window, this thing, something like that.
Yeah, that I've clicked. I've clicked on that. Share the window.
Share the window. You have clicked. No.
Now
it should be there. Now it should be there. Now it should be there. Arvind sir, if you can help madam a little bit again in explaining.
Mr. Arvind.
The same process is there.
Mr. Arvind.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Arvind.
Yes, sir.
You extend your possible help to madam to start the program.
Yes, sir.
We are already getting
definitely.
late.
Yes.
You help us, please.
Ma'am, one thing you can say, you can share the slide with me.
just a second. Just a second.
I'll play for you.
Just a second.
Okay.
Now is the screen visible? Because I've shared the screen. Still not visible?
No, ma'am, it's still not visible. No, ma'am, it's still not visible.
Acha. Just a second then. Uh, I'm just logging out of the meeting because I have to send the PPT to Arvind sir. Just give me a
Right.
second. Okay?
Right, ma'am. Okay, okay. Right.
Okay, ma'am. Then I will present for you.
हाँ ठीक है.
Arvind sir, in the meantime, I would like to inform
Yes.
all the participants that
Yes, sir.
the
Please.
that now offline training programs from COE Patna will start. Okay, all the work, all the groundwork has been completed, and I think many schools of the districts have received their letters from CBSE, making them their venues as their venues, and very soon we will start the training programs. Resource persons will be allotted from COE Patna. There will be one seasoned resource person and a new resource person. Okay. Apart from that, those teachers, principals, vice principals who have applied for prospective resource persons training program, they are also getting mails and they are also attending training programs. Some of them are getting selected also. So those who have not yet attended or those who are about to attend, please take this program seriously because you may also become a resource person, because there are plenty of training programs are to come and a lot of resource persons are required. So I will request all the teachers who have submitted their Google forms for becoming resource person, please take this matter very seriously. You can also be a resource person to give the trainings to the teachers. Okay, so please continue with this. This is the message that I also wanted to give to you, and I hope it will be very much beneficial for all of you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Now it's okay.
I hope now you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Very much. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and now you can see the screen also.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Very much.
Yes. So Arvind ji, you have to be in tandem with me for sharing the screen. I don't know why this happens only with the Google Meet, but let's start the program.
Okay, ma'am. No problem.
Yes. So a very good afternoon to all of you once again, to all the participants, to the principals, to the officials of the Confederation of JHARKHAND SAHODAYAS, to the DHANBAD SAHODAYA, PAKUR SAHODAYA, SAHEBGANJ SAHODAYA, and there are other more SAHODAYAs. So let us start the program and today's training on values and emotional well-being in teaching. So whenever we talk about values and emotional well-being in teaching, what happens is that suddenly some thoughts, they cross across our minds, and then we start thinking of that. Is it not the way we start dreaming, the way we start thinking? So you will all agree with me that the values and the schools are inseparably connected, is it not? They say that, or it is being said that the school is a temple of learning. Yes, people will say, "Arey, school mein jaate ho, you must have learned these values. These are the basic values, human values." So schools and values are inseparably related, isn't it so? But we are also staying in a society which is dynamic. and with ever changing values. Maybe the values which were so important 50 years back or 100 years back, they might have changed because the society has evolved. Some new values might have come up. So, are we in tandem with that? So that we will have to see, realize, and teach the students. If even if the values are changing because of the dynamic nature of the society, the core values of mankind remains the same. So now, as I requested all of you to keep your chat boxes ready, let's go to the next slide. That what are values? Let's go to the next slide, slide number 2. That what are values? Because see, I won't be able to read what you say because I am not able to share the screen. But if I'm having the chat open, so all of you can write that what do you mean by values? Please write in the chat box that what do you mean by values? Values are the eternal ideas and the guiding principles, is it not? You are taught your values in your childhood. Yes, ethics and morals, eternal ideas and guiding principles leading to a desirable behavior and positive pattern, which will lead to a desirable behavior and positive pattern. Desirable behavior of whom? By whom? By the individual, for the society. The society can be of different types. It can be your school society, it can be your working society, it can be your home atmosphere, it can be the society where you are staying. So it will be giving rise to those positive patterns, but which will be connected through thoughts, what you think, what you feel, what your emotions are. Is it not? We cannot have a value in the vacuum. So, please press enter. Arvindji, please press the enter button. Yes. So these are firm beliefs and ideas, and press the enter once again. These are the firm beliefs and ideas held by a person to determine his or her thoughts and actions. And these thoughts and actions do not occur in vacuum. They actually occur through the interconnectedness between thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And what values you choose will depend on your education, on what you have been taught in your life, in the school, in the formative years. I'm using the word formative years. And what are the choices you make? Because see, in the formative years, all the students, all the children are given the same values. But when they grow up, do they have the same values, or some of them make the wrong choice? So that is also to be deliberated upon. So what happens is that generally what happens is that if somebody does some mischief in the school and all, we try to discipline them, we call the parents, and then we tell the parents that yes, be teach him discipline at home, this, that, and all. But at the same time, what happens is that we forget about the schools. What role did the school play? Did it enforce the value system into the children, into that student during his formative years? What happens generally is that, see, we are all school means values interconnected, they cannot be separate. But then what happens is that all of us have the assigned moral science classes, value education classes, plus the values are taught through other school activities also. But in your rush to complete the syllabus, the first casualty is the value education period. Is it not? The teacher will come and ask, can I have an extra period? You know, that value education period, can I have this and this subject? First casualty. Second casualty is that the teacher might not have changed, but the students would have requested the teacher to allow him or her to do some other work during the value education period. Yes, the teacher gives the permission. So, as teachers, are we giving them the right non-verbal clue to the students, or are we giving them the clue that value education is dispensable? You will learn by rote. अरे वो तो ऐसा ही सीख जाएगा क्या right है क्या wrong है. So we are not enforcing that. So let's have a discussion on that. Let's move. Before I move to the next slide, I'll just ask you that what are the challenges of the contemporary world? Think about it. And if some of you can write on the chat box, that will also be better. What are the challenges of the contemporary world? Let's move to the next slide. Let's move to the next slide. The contemporary world, see, the world that we are staying now, we have the religious fundamentalism, we have the environmental degradation, we have the environmental activist always protesting against the environmental degradation. We have the multicultural conflicts, my culture is better than yours, and we start arguing on whose culture is better, whose religion is better. Misuse of science and technology, like if I can say that first was the dropping of the atom bomb, second was maybe, as they say, that this coronavirus had leaked from some labs in China. Whether that is deliberate or accidental, we don't know. People will think about cloning. Cloning is such a good boon for science, but then there were some science fiction scary stories also which said that one criminal might clone himself into 10 different and all. So misuse of science and technology, whether the nuclear energy is being used to produce new electricity or whether it is being used to destroy some civilizations, that is also there. Inequalities, ill effects of mass media. This is very, very important because mass media is so overwhelmingly present in our lives now. Whether we accept it or not, there is no deniable factor that we can run away from mass media. Not only that, earlier it used to be with the newspapers, then came the TV, which is also called the idiot box, because it continuously goes on talking throughout the day without having or creating any value system. And now it has reached to our palms. We have that mobile. On that click of that mobile, the whole news is available in front of you. You have the different media, the social medias, and those medias are unregulated, I must say, and each and everything is there. So ill effects of the mass media, and how many of us are influenced by that. We are actually adults, we can know what is right and what is wrong, but think about the impressionable minds of the young students who are just learning about the values, and there's something very negative comes up, and he does not know whether to follow it or not. And generally what happens is that the negative things, negative values, they are so easy, so alluring, that students generally go there. So ill effects of the mass media, globalization, commercialization of everything. I have just noted down some points, but there are more to that, more to that. The values are eroding. So so you have to empower the students with certain attitudes and skills, and as well as give them the critical ability. You have empowered them, okay, with attitudes and skills, you have taught them, but if they don't use it at the critical time, at the correct time, then it will be difficult. So you will also have to teach them the ability to use them in the contemporary world, which is full of challenges, myriad challenges. So there will be challenges, unexpected challenges, which we cannot record, cannot spell out, cannot imagine now, until and unless some person falls into that difficulty. So what he has to do, he has to come out of that situation by using the values which you have taught in the class. So now let's come to the next slide, please. That why value education? Because see, all of us are aiming for holistic education in the school. That is there mentioned in our diary, school diary, is it not? Mission and vision, some holistic word will be there in some form or the other. So we are aiming for that holistic education. So it can be defined as the sapling, the little sapling, which will sprout. Okay, the sprout, it will grow from the seed. The values are like the seeds. It will sprout, sprout, then it will turn into a little sapling, then it will grow like a tree, and when the tree grows, the branches grow all around the tree, and they spread their values. So our value should be like, which will be educating the whole society at large. So we start the value education with the individual, which will spread to his family, which will spread to his community. When the community gets the good values, it is the systems changes. The system changes means the institution and the structure changes. When that changes, many institution and structure will change the society. The society changes will increase the values of the country and ultimately the values of the planet. So you have to concentrate on the individual. The individual is very, very important for. Now, again, before I go to the next slide, I request all of you to write one value that you stand for. All of us have got many different values because we are value based persons, but there must be one value which is very dear to you. So if you can write in the chat box that which is the most important value for you, we will come to have, or will come to know what are the values you all stand for. I might be standing for 5 different values, 10 different values, but this value is very, very dear. I cannot uh, excuse a person who does not have this value. It is like that. So if you can write that what is the value you stand for, so that will be better. Please use the chat box once again. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, honesty, hard work, discipline. Yes, I expect more. Truthfulness can be there. Yes. Your family system. Punctuality. Yes, very important. This is the value we are teaching the students every day. Sincerity. Yes. Let's go to the next slide, please. Yes. So all the values, if they are written down, it will come, in this page. I've tried to put as many values as possible, but this is not a comprehensive list. It will increase more. Maybe it's not written here. Some values will come when we move up. So each and every one of you, yes, attitude, the correct attitude is very, very important. So all your values are correct. There's nothing wrong in the values that you stand for, because values itself is correct. So let us discuss about the different types of values and why value education in the school. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Because, see, why value education in the school? In the school, it is the formative years. You build the base for a student for his adult life. How he will behave in the adult life is actually formed in this formative years in the school. So that if you ingrain the value system in your student, it is just like building the house brick by brick. The value system, the core value systems does not change whether the student is studying in a pre-primary class or whether he is in standard 12. But what happens is that it is being reinforced year after year after year, so that it becomes a part of his second nature. So you can only give what you have within you to the society. That is called the internalization of the values. Please press the enter button. So value systems are the fundamental needs and should be seen as a valuable investment. Don't use the value education period for some other periods or just give it a buy. Use it as an investment for the future, because the values that you're teaching to the small ones in the school, after 10 years when they go to the secondary and the senior secondary, these students will be these students will be executing the values that you have taught them. And why again I'm questioning why in the school again? Because see, for the students of the age 11 to maybe 16, 17, what happens is that his opinion of the peer group is much more important than what his teachers and his parents say. Is it not? If in the peer group, unfortunately, if you have somebody who has got some negative, I won't say values, but some negative behavior, somebody smokes and he or she will uh, force the others also to take a puff and enjoy and all. So he succumbs to that pressure. So what is to be done to that student to stop him from succumbing to the pressure? If the value system is strong, he won't do that. Okay, so the value system has to come from his parents, from his teachers. Students should not succumb to the pressure only because of the fear of the peer group, but because they should have the values and the conviction to stand against the pressure. Not only that, I'm just talking about another value. What happens is that nowadays, students, maybe with the support of their parents, they are not so much connected with their motherland. Is it not? What do they say? Study well, get into the engineering colleges, get into any professional courses, go out and live your life. Everybody has a dream to go to America. Everybody has a dream to shift to Europe. India mein nahi rehna hai. This connectedness is not there. And then what happens is that the parents have done it, is it not? Sometimes we also do. But then it should be always linked to coming back to the motherland and giving it back to the society. Then where are the values gone when the parents, aged parents, are left behind and their children are enjoying their life in the foreign land? So that values also have to be taught. So traditional methods of teaching, which were there, of unquestionably telling the students to accept your point of view in the value system, also needs to change, because as I said, the value, it is a dynamic society. In our times, in our grandparents' time, we used to unquestionably accept what was told to us. Okay, not anymore. The question comes from the student, because he is exposed to so much of the information which is there in the mobile, because the pandemic has done a good thing making all the students tech savvy, but at the same time it has also made them heavily dependent on the mobile. The mobile has become their world. We may not see the students going out and playing nowadays. Why? Because they are playing the mobile games. Let's go to the next slide. So what are the values to reckon with? So that's, it is written that school education should be able to prepare the students for their adult life so that they are balanced individuals, responsible citizens, and useful individuals of the society. So without value education, this is not possible. Let's go to the next slide. The values to reckon with. What are the values to reckon and at which level? At the individual level, interpersonal level, community level, national level, and global level. Next slide, please. So what is at the individual level? As an individual, next slide, please. As an individual, I should be at peace with myself. The previous one. Arvindji, previous slide, yes. At the individual level, I should be at a peace with myself. If the individual is at peace with itself, he will allow the community and the society to be at peace. He will allow his family to be at peace. Is it not? A disturbed individual creates disturbance for his family also. It happens. We all know that it happens. Okay. So what at the individual level, what value should you have? First is the dignity of that individual is maintained. Dignity is a very important value. Okay, security, well-being, and protection against injustice and discrimination. If somebody is discriminated against, that means the value system of that person is being questioned, is being hurt, and he will definitely go back and hurt the society, the family included. A child also knows the value of dignity. The child may not be able to articulate his thoughts, but you know that how the child reacts when somebody loves him and when somebody ignores him. The child also ignores him or her in return. So at the individual level, they should have the joy, the sense of freedom, and there should be the absence of conflict. When we come out of the family, when we come out of that individual, we enter into the family. What is the family for? At the interpersonal level, family is for love, empathy, cooperation, acceptance of differences. Acceptance of differences comes from the family, begins from the family, because no two siblings are similar, no two parents are similar. Your father might be having a very different personality from your mother. I won't say wrong, it is different. One might be very jolly, one might be introvert. Okay, one might be taking life as it comes, a happy-go-lucky person, another one is very much planned. Both are correct. Two siblings are also different. So what do the parents do? Do they say that, okay, he is better, so he gets more of my love, the other one is not? It does not happen. They are different. Parents accept them both. So acceptance of differences, not only at that level, but also you can have different opinions. The family can have different opinions. What do? Do we go out and fight in the family? No. Your opinion is your opinion, my opinion is my opinion. What do? We sit and discuss. So acceptance of differences, appreciation. Everybody likes to be appreciated. So the family appreciation matters the most. And also you have friendship. Then when these families meet together, they have at the community level. The community to which is the person belongs is the third block. And the relation between the individual and the community is very, very intimate, because that gives the identity formation for the individual. Take your school as an example. The students of Dhanbad Public School will be saying that my school is the best, whereas students of D Nobly will be saying that my school is the best. That is the community level bonding which comes. They will say, my community teaches me, or my school teaches me to be honest. The other one says, my community or my school also teaches me to be punctual. So there are certain behavior methods also which the community expects you to do and follow. Is it not? Each school will have its own value system. So we have the mutual respect in the community. Not only that, this community level and the society level gives a sense of security to the individual. So they go a long way in minimizing the sense of insecurity among communities and to promote a sense of belonging. A child always longs to belong to some society, some community, is it not? The community which loves him, which tolerates his or her tantrums, who will forgive him if he has done some mistake and accept him into the community, the family. You have healthy family relationships. The community appreciation also matters. And here also comes the protection of the environment values or some other values which they stand for. Here I'd just like to mention about the Bishnoi community. Remember the Bishnoi community who protected their black bucks against some they in fact worship the black bucks. And what happened when there was a wrongful hunting or not, we don't know, but some black bucks got killed. How they came to protect them? Because they worshipped them. Okay, what about the Chipko movement? That is also the protection of the environment. They came to fell the trees, and how the women folk of the community held on to the trees and did not let that person to chop the trees. So at the community level, you will also have the protection for the environment. So when the different communities join together, you have the national level community. And what the national level, which values are important? You have to have the respect for the human rights. You are a citizen, you have to be a responsible citizen. Okay, you have the freedom from bias and stereotypes. Definitely, that is what our constitution says. You should have the national integration, secularism, intercultural and multicultural harmony. Multicultural is very, very important because, as I said, the negative things of the modern source of the contemporary society are the challenges which I had said is that, communities fighting against each other, nations fighting against each other because my country is bigger than yours, superior than yours, my community is better than yours. So that gives rise to all the conflict. So at the national level, it's very, very important as the building block of values. So when the nations, peaceful nations, will come together and form the building blocks of global values. And what are the value systems which are affected at the global level? At the global level, first is the peaceful resolution of conflicts. Conflicts will be there. Peaceful resolution of international conflicts. What do you do? Now, there is a war going on. We all know. We don't know what they're fighting for. But yes, people are getting killed. Environment is getting damaged. Hardship for both the countries. Nobody's listening to the other. Maybe one country is being supported by one group, another country is being supported by another group. Who knows? But there is always a peaceful resolution of international conflicts. It should be through dialogues. We have the environmental concerns. Just now we have that COP26 meeting for the environment. Why? Because we have to have the consensus on how to protect the environment. It cannot be that consumerism culture or the commercialization where I use and I don't let my next generation or my next country, other country to use it. So environmental concerns are there. Appreciation of the world's cultural heritage. There are some protected sites also, United Nations heritage sites also. And what happened to the Bamiyan Buddhas in Afghanistan? You all know that how they were all broken down because they did not respect the world's cultural heritage. So there are two types of things there. Okay, one is lost and another one is preserved. And respect and sharing of common resources. What are the common resources? You all know what should be the value expressed at that time. We have the rivers flowing through many countries. Okay, so if you want to disturb a country, you can stop the flow of the water or dirty the water or whatever. But your value stops you from doing that. You say that these resources are for everybody, let us share. So these are some of the values at the global level. Why we are talking about the global level now? Because ultimately these students will grow up to become global citizens. Maybe the barriers will break. There will be some barriers, but then how we are connecting with people from the other countries without crossing the borders? Now that is going to increase in the coming years, and these students will become the global citizens. So at the global level also, the values should be taught very, very properly. And we all are doing that in the school, but maybe we have to do more. Opposition to somebody's values does not mean that we resort to violence or we resort to some antics and then try to destroy and try to force everybody to listen to us. No, resolution of conflict is also there. Now let us go to the next slide. Next slide shows us, the next slide please. The next slide shows us about the constitutional values, the values which are guaranteed to us by the Constitution. We all know justice, equality, fraternity, freedom, unity of the nation, secularism, protection of natural environment, scientific temper. This is very, very important because you have to be rational. You have to teach the students to be rational. Then only the country will progress. A country cannot progress if it is caught up with superstitions and age-old ideas. These are the constitutional values. I'm just telling you about the different values that we have. Next slide, please. Now, there are some eternal values, whether they are written in the Constitution or not. The next slide, please. The eternal values, which will never change. These are the peace, harmony, happiness, goodness, beauty, knowledge, and many other things. These are the eternal values. Now, let's go to the next slide again. So, this slide shows, the next slide, please, that Arvind, now previous one, you skipped the one, yes. So how do you teach values to the students? So today the value to be taught is show respect. The teacher says, the student asks why? The teacher says, because I say so. Sometimes we impose, but can the values be taught in that way? It will not work anymore. Students don't accept. So it should be addressed or linked to the current issue, the real life situation. You have to teach the values to the students in an interactive way with opportunities for critical thinking. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So how do you connect with the values? Next slide, please. There will be certain questions. Yes, please press the enter button once. What are the challenges faced by the teachers in the students' classroom with reference to students' behavior and attitude? We all have faced this, is it not? Not only that, we have also seen the changes or the degradation that has come into. Now, you cannot touch a child, you cannot scold a child, you cannot do anything to him or her because the law says so. We agree with it. We agree with it. But is there that same amount of respect for the teacher, or you tell something to the student and then his whole family comes to the school to fight? This has also happened. The worst part is that they tag the student along, and the way the parents are behaving with the teachers, with the school, the child is an open witness to that. So will that child have that respect for the school? The school is called the temple of learning. Will that child have the respect for the school? So that is very, very important to know. So what are the major reasons? Next, please press the enter. What are the major reasons for this behavior and attitude exhibited by the students? What do you think? Because of degeneration of values. Look at all the majority of the OTT platforms, the movies, the TV series. Do they give any value, or do they show some dysfunctional families? They show dysfunctional families, and as if dysfunctional families are the normal ones and they are being accepted. Poor child does not know what is a functional and good family. So he or she will be affected by those and how they fight and how they do. And there are some serials which are going on. I don't know how these are allowed to run also, where they will go to paranormal, abnormal things, and they will also talk about the ghost, the bhoot, pret, and I don't know what are the other words being used. But a child mind is impressionable. Parents don't have control on the child. The child watches whatever he wants. And the value system is not taught at home as much as it was taught to us at that previously. Again, press the enter, please. So which values will you think that, please press enter. Which values do you think will help in improving the behavior and the attitude of the students? And what is the importance of value education? Arvind ji, please press enter. Once again. Arvind ji, please press enter once again. Yes. So what is the importance of value education in the school context? The school needs to provide value education in the classroom, integrate it with the school activities. That's why we say the real life connect, and define focus areas and planning for realizing the desired objectives. It is that much important. So, the importance of value education. Why? Again, I'm talking about earlier, there used to be joint families. Okay, the parents will be busy, of course, for earning the money. They will be busy. Earlier also the parents were busy. But then you had the protective court of the grandparents. Or if it was a joint family, you had hordes of relatives taking care of you. And what used to happen? The bedtime stories being told by the grandparents, they always had some values. You know, our Hitopdesh, our other stories that we have, the Amar Chitra Katha stories and all, which the grandparents used to read. They always had the values. But nowadays, it is nuclear family. The child is left at the care of some person who might not be so much eager to teach value systems to the students. They are left alone, single nuclear families. So in that scenario, the school has to step in. The school has to take over the role of the grandparents, that yes, these are the values you have to learn. This is what is good for you and what you will do in the adult life. Next slide, please. Yes, the next one. So, the next slide, please. So, what we have to teach? See, what happens? You must have heard that a single child in a nuclear family always knows to say, me, everything is for me, everything for myself. And what happens in a community or in a joint family or where there is another sibling? So you have to teach the student to change from me to we. The resources are for us, not for me. We will have to change for the better, not only I. So what are the values which are important? So what are these values? At the concerned, at the school stage, you have developing human values, universal human values. Okay, values derived from the Indian Constitution, developing problem solving attitude towards contemporary challenges. This is very, very important. Holistic development of the individual, responsible attitude towards self and the society. This is important. Responsible attitude towards self and the society. If I am responsible towards myself, if I am responsible towards the society, I will be growing up in a society which cares for myself, and nurturing an ethical approach, collaborative skills, and respect for human rights. All these are interlinked and very closely linked to how we will stay in the society. Next slide, please. So, see, this is the value tree that I was talking about. The value education seed will grow up and spread the values in the society just like a banyan tree. The next slide, please. Yes. So how do you integrate values into the curriculum? Can it be taught like subjects, like, because we have the period, na, moral education period, we say, and for the other subjects, we don't do that. But remember, few years back, CBSE had introduced the value education, value-based questions. Those are very correct. Okay, so it cannot be taught like a subject. It can be inculcated through the situations deliberately planned while teaching various school subjects. How they used to give the value education for maths? They will ask them to calculate the volume of a cylinder with a flat base. And then what the milkman does is that he hammers the base and that rises up a little. So that creates a semicircle. So will the volume be the same? So that is the value-based question. Please press enter. Actually, I'm not able to play the audio and the video. Otherwise, I wanted to tell you that the values which are being taught by the language teachers mainly, and also by the other subject teachers, how they give rise to the values of the students. How? Why? All of us know about the poem Rani Ki Jhansi. Whenever you hear that, you are transported to that uh, year or that situation where you feel yourself that you are riding on the horse with a baby at the back and with a sword in your hand, and then fighting the intruders, the English persons. Is it not? There is also another value, like there is another poem. Actually, I wanted to share with you all, but the audio is not playing. That is the Us Pat Par Dena Tum Fek Jis Pat Jaye Veer Anek. There is by Sumitra Nandan Pant. This poem is there. So if those poems are being delivered by the teachers with the correct punctuation, pronunciation, feeling, that those values will be permanently ingrained into the students. We teach them about the lives of the great and noble persons. We give them the case studies. In the higher classes, it goes to the case studies, is it not? So these are the way you can inculcate the values into the students. Storytelling is very, very important. I was just discussing with you about the Hitopdesh, the Panchatantra. So you have to take the role of the storytelling. Sometimes maybe, okay, today I'm not going to teach you anything. I'm going to tell you a story. Tell them the story. These are the stories they should need to learn, because Indian civilization has all the values needed to lead a peaceful, balanced adult life. So let us connect the students with our heritage. The Harry Potter is also there. That is also very exciting. Good. There will be some other science fiction novels also. But in the formative years, tell them about the Hitopdesh stories, the Panchatantra, because as I said, you have to take care of the students. Now let's go to the next slide. That what should be the teaching competencies as a teacher when you are teaching the students, what should be the teaching competencies for a teacher? Okay, so next slide please, Arvindji. So ability to discern and create learning environment, as I said. So when you are making the lesson plan, why not all the subject teachers sit together? Maybe science subject teachers are sitting together, social science separately, math separately, and then you brainstorm that, okay, this is the topic that I'm going to teach to the students and what can be the values in that. And how do you create the values? You cannot directly go and say that, yes, come on, today we are going to read this chapter and the value content in this chapter is this, this, and this. Okay, you have to spin a story. Story from where? Story from that subject matter only, story from that chapter only. So you have to create the learning environment. Then ability to use instructional strategies. What? This should be age appropriate. If it is the lower classes, use the playway method. If it is the higher classes, give it open for discussion, debates. They will come to know. Sensitivity to the conflict of values that occur. Why conflict of values? Because we stay in a pluralistic society, is it not? Values are changing rapidly. So you have to deal with the issues sensitively, which might come up, okay, in a non-judgmental and open-minded way. So how do you teach the students? Through workshops, through brainstorming, through role plays. So you have to use these techniques to make the students sensitive to the conflict of values that may occur. Okay, because conflict of values means, as I said, they say, okay, my culture teaches me this, your culture teaches me this, both of us are right, maybe in our own ways, but you have to come to a conclusion. It is a pluralistic society. Exhibit intellectual integrity. Intellectual integrity means, yes, whatever you do, you have to do it excellent. There cannot be half-baked way, half-baked method. Whatever you have to do, you have to do with excellence. A deep commitment towards excellence should be emphasized. And suppose you are taking the help of somebody to learn a value, or you have learned a value with somebody's help, so why not give him or her the credit? Exhibit empathy and consideration. That means the tolerance of the other viewpoints, others' points of view. So teachers will have to use these wide-ranging mechanisms to develop empathy and consideration. And the teacher should also have the ability to draw out shy or quiet students, because they are the ones who get neglected in the cacophony of learning values. They are not the vocal ones, they are the quiet ones, the shy ones. Nobody listens to them because they don't shout. Okay, they are shy, so they are not coming in front of the class. So if you have to teach your values, you have to be consciously taking the effort of bringing out the shy and quiet students in front of the class and making the confident and the articulate ones to hear their thoughts. Consider the opinion of the quieter ones. Maybe they don't speak, but whatever they speak, that carries more value than what the other noisy students were doing. So that is the way you have to draw the shy and the quiet students. And ability to monitor and evaluate. This is very important. If the debate is going out of hand, you have to just step in, stop, and then evaluate. What is right? What is wrong? The students listen to you. Very good. They still need more counseling. Call the parents. So ability to monitor and evaluate is very, very important. So how can the teacher inculcate the values? By being a good role model. Teachers are role models. You are expected to be role model. And by the skill of the teacher, who can use the learning situations in the class and have the appropriate strategies to teach the values. So the teacher should always have a positive attitude, behavior pattern, which will influence the students to be value educated. So now let us go to the next slide. The next slide says that it's not what you have given to the children, what you have taught the children, but what you have taught him to do to be a successful human being. That is the core of value education and emotional well-being. Now let us come to the next slide, which shows that a framework for conducting a value education. Introduce a conflict situation. Introduce a situation like, should India march ahead on its nuclear power path? Introduce a conflict situation. Then identify the challenges, means explain the topic. When you explain the topic, students will come up with different questions, their views, which is also linked to the third one, that is proposed suggestions. They will have their views. Somebody will say, no, this is correct, the other one is correct, the third one is wrong, fourth one is correct. Accept everything, but don't give any solution. Then in stage number 3, you ask them to have as many disagreements and agreements, confusions, counter confusions, to have that. So propose suggestions. Then to come to the good value, correct value, use reasoning for analyzing arguments. Reasoning, that is the most important. It's not that this value is best because that is being accepted by the majority of the students. No. Why? Majority might also be wrong. So use reasoning and then come to the conclusion that which is the best solution, and then evaluate. When you have come to the conclusion, you should be also ready for the repercussions. Maybe you will face many hardships when you have chosen a value of integrity. You have chosen the value of no corruption, honesty. It's very difficult to walk on the path of honesty nowadays, they say, because the society is corrupt. So if you have chosen that value for yourself, stick to it. Have that much of courage to stand for your values. It is conclusion and evaluation. And this you will have to teach the students by constantly reinforcing the value systems through day in and day out activities. Let's go to the next slide. This is an activity which you all do in the school. You ask them to write one value and ask the group to talk on it. Okay, this we do activity, just a minute. Then come to the next one, the activity on science and values. The next slide, please. On the science and values, we can also have a debate on whether, let's say this is on the atom bomb, as I said, whether to use the nuclear energy for peaceful use or you can use it to win the war also by force. Let's come to the next slide. So also there is another story which says that, next slide please, that together we can do it. What are together we can do? Together means, see, this is just a story. I'm just telling you the gist and why the farmer is so important in teaching the value system. The farmer had the best corn, okay, but what he used to do is that he used to distribute the seeds of the corn to the neighboring farmers. First, as human being, I have the best corn, why should I give it to the others? Okay, so now, but he used to distribute. And then next slide please. So somebody asked him that, why do you distribute the seeds of your good quality seeds to your neighboring farmers? They will also they will also get the good corns. So he said, yes, I want my corn to improve, because he knew that the pollination, if it is with the bad seed, the quality of his corn will only come down gradually. Is it not? So to have good quality seeds, he started distributing so that others are also using that. And when at the pollination stage, his corns get the best sperms. So that is what is needed. Okay, so how can you use this story in the classroom? That to be at peace at the individual level, I should see that my neighbor is also at peace. A peaceful neighbor goes a great way in me having a peaceful life. So you can use this story. You can suggest some other stories also to promote the values. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So in the classroom, next slide, please. In the classroom, what the teacher is supposed to do when you are planning the lesson, identify the values, keeping the lesson objectives and the learning outcomes in mind. Okay, it has to tally with what you are teaching. You have to develop a strategy to communicate and identify concepts and processes and modes of disseminating the values. That means, how will you teach the students? How will you communicate with the students about what they are learning? You have to identify the concept of the value system that you are teaching them through the lessons, what you are teaching them. And also modes of disseminating the values. It's not that only I learn the value, what I have given to the society. It has to spread. Then when the student have completed the chapter, then you tell the students or open to the students that this was the story, like we do in the moral stories, is it not? This was the story. What was the value did you learn? What value did you learn? Case-based studies. So this you will have to plan. If you plan it a little bit, maybe it will look too much or feel too much at the beginning. But when you do it, you will get into the habit of identifying the values immediately, and you can share it with your students. You can teach the students in the class about what they do. So next slide, please. What are the 5 steps approach for the students to do? Knowing means what values that the student will be learning, that is at the end of the chapter which you have told him what is going to learn. Now he should be, as I said, they should be provided with the conflicting situations for making the judgments. Then internalization of the values. Before internalization comes the believing. Yes, I have selected this value because I believe in that value. That has to come from evaluation. Remember, evaluation of the values. Then the action. Am I practicing that value in real life? You can ask your student also. If he has learned about honesty, is he practicing that in real life? And what are the examples of that practice? So then internalization of the values through constant emphasis on relevant ideas, the discipline, the honesty, the thought process, the tolerance, the mutual respect. The learner is led to a stage where I was talking about earlier, that values become his second nature whenever he is faced with such type of situation, because you have to open the students to various type of situations as much as you can imagine in the school. And then those, how he will react will depend on how much internalization of the values he has been or he has got through practice during his formative years. How does he react? The first reaction is actually the innate reaction, and that innate reaction should be the positive reaction which you have ingrained into the students. So this will only come through practice. This will be spontaneous and immediate positive behavior of the students. So practicing is very important. Don't think that values which we learn at kindergarten stage is not applicable when we go to the secondary or the senior secondary. It is applicable, but in a different context. So that is the way the value education is to be constantly seeded into the students. Now let us go to the next slide, which shows the whole school approach for value education. Next slide, please. Yes, next slide. Next slide. Yes. So ways to incorporate values into the curriculum. Now, previous one. Yes. See, what do you do in the school? As somebody said, the value which is very important to me is punctuality. You are teaching the student to be punctual in life. Through the morning assemblies, you are spreading the values which we want the whole school to learn. Each day, each week, they will have some different values exposed to them, and there they learn. You have the clubs and societies where the fellow feeling is there, the team working is there. You have the house council. What is that value? Leadership value. You have the surveys, group studies, projects, debates based on various topics. And how are these generated, or how are these values taught to the students? You have the school functions, is it not? Everybody has the school function. And what do the school functions tell you, teach you? You ask the students, you take the school function, you have the student volunteers, you have given them the job, and they are doing. Now, what are the values they have learned? The values they have learned is leadership, team building, tolerance of the other's views, and the final outcome. So, where everybody has contributed. So, these are the various school approach where we are teaching values knowingly or unknowingly. We have the set rules of conduct for the students, for the teachers, for the parents. That is also the value system which is being taught to the students. Is it not? So these are the values in which way you can do, and offering social service on voluntary basis. We have the NSS. That's not in the school, that's in the college. We have the Seva projects where the scope is wide. Why not pick up one of the Seva projects and tell the students to, yes, you do this, and this is the value you have learned. So that those type of projects which you can give. Now let's go to the next one. Next slide. So you will be, no, the previous one. Previous one, yes. So you are positioning the values in the socio-cultural context. It has to be linked to, I'm using the word again and again, it has to be linked to the real world situation, real life situation. Otherwise, there will be no connect between the value that you are trying to teach them and the situations that you have. Socialization and the cognitive level. Socialization, you have the school, the family, the friends, and at the cognitive stage. When you have, see, you have the peer group for the students. Okay, so if somebody is going or doing something negative, the peer group can also act in a positive way. The peer pressure can also act in a positive way and stop that student from going down the negative lane. Reinforcement through experiences and observation. Yes, continuous exposure of the student as per their ages, age appropriate, to the case studies, to different type of situations, so that they know how to react. They know that the brain reacts in that way because it has been ingrained into them. So the success of value education and development in the students depends on the vision, motivation, skills, attitude, values, and behavior of the teacher, of you. I'm again repeating this line. The success of value education and emotional development of the students depends substantially on the vision, motivation, skills, attitude, values, and behavior of the teacher. This is important. You are the most important cog in that cycle of life for the student. So let's go to the next slide. So values and emotional education or well-being. Yes, please press enter. Yes, once again. Yeah, values and emotional educations are based on strong positive relationship, positive dispositions to learning, learning to love learning, and emotional and spiritual space satisfaction, and calm teaching and learning environment. Again, please press the enter. Arvindji, please press the enter button. Please press the enter button, Arvindji. Yes. So when the value, please, the previous slide, please. Arvindji, the previous slide, please.
Yes, miss, I have pressed. Yes, miss, I have.
The previous one, It's not coming. Okay, so let me just end by saying one line is that the quality teaching will depend on what values and emotional education you are giving to the students by your intellectual depth, the teacher's intellectual depth, your communicative competency, your capacity for reflection, your self-management technique, and your knowledge on what you are going to teach. So thank you all this is what I had to discuss in this short time for this meeting. Hope you all enjoyed. We will go back to the class with a renewed pledge of teaching values to the students, because when we grow old, these students will be the pillars of the values. And if you want your life to be happy, successful, the future of the country to be in the safe hand, the future of the world to be in the safe hand, teach the values to the students, make them global citizens, so that the world ultimately turns out to be a happy world, a happy planet for all of us. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I'd like to call Anupama Shah for the both of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to all the honorable dignitaries, principals, vice principals, TNCs, and teachers. And as we all know, our today's resource person was Dr. SUBHOSREE Sarkar, and she has given her valuable words for the topic, values and emotional well-being in teaching. Ma'am, it was a excellent or great session for all of us, and it was the most important and primitive way of spreading values. I think it is the best one. And we all know that we teachers are the role model for our future generation. And you have also said that we are the role model. We have to spread the knowledge and values to the students and the future generation. It is most important. So thank you once again, ma'am. It was a very excellent session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I'd like to call Chairman JKSM Sahodaya, sir. Chairman, sir.
Dr. Sarkar, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Your session was really very fine and attractive also. And today there is no technical problem. So it is very much, I mute everything and hear you very curiously. And I am very much happy by hearing you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, participants, the attendance link is given in the chat box. Please go through that and complete the attendance within the time. Thank you. Thank you all.
So I can disconnect?
Yes, ma'am, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Surajit sir is there? Surajit sir? Okay, ma'am.
Now give the attendance link, Mr. Arvind.